Hello, everyone. Welcome to Elvis Week. We are here with Richard Sterban. How are you?
Well, Missy, I am just fine. It's certainly a pleasure to be able to talk to you and your fine viewers out there.
Well, thank
Yeah.
you. I'm really excited. This is the very first time that I've participated in anything with Elvis Week, and I absolutely adore that man and everything he was for the music industry and everything that he still is and what he still does for musicians all over the world. But you had the opportunity to play with Elvis.
You're absolutely correct. For about 2 years prior to joining the Oak Ridge Boys, I sang in J.D. Sumner and the Stamps Quartet. And for about a year and a half of that time, uh, I was able to sing with the King. Back then, uh, Elvis was probably the biggest star in the world.
Mm-hmm.
His tour was, the biggest tour in the music business. And to be a part of that was, very, very, very exciting. There's no doubt about it. And now that many years have passed and I have a chance to look back on that, I'm so glad that I had that opportunity to actually get to know Elvis and to be a part of his tour and his entourage.
Right, right. Now I hear that Elvis was also a prankster, and that he's done some things for his bandmates and made people scared and made people laugh because he was just having a good old time. Do you have any of those memories?
I do. Elvis was a great practical jokester. And it's kind of interesting. He had two gentlemen that were his bodyguards,
Mm-hmm.
Sonny West and Red West. And a few months ago, Sonny passed away, and I was able to go to his funeral, and Red was there, and Red spoke at Sonny's funeral, and basically what he did, he recounted his version of that particular time, that practical joke that Elvis played on the Stamps Quartet when I was there, and it's kind of sad that just a few weeks later, then
Right.
Red passed away as well.
Yeah.
So pretty much most of Elvis's entourage, have gone on. But the particular story that they talked about at Sonny's funeral was an incident that happened when we were playing in Las Vegas. We did two shows a night there. After the first show, we were in our dressing room. Elvis came into our dressing room, something he very rarely does. And he said, "There's a guy coming to the second show that claims he's after me. He's going to get me. Either he was an irate boyfriend or husband or whatever. And so he said, I want you guys to come up to my suite, and Sonny and Red are going to be there, and they're going to explain to you what they would like you to do during the second show. We need to keep our eyes out for this guy." So we go up to Elvis's suite. We walk through the door of the suite, and Elvis is standing in the middle of the suite. He's kind of plunking on the piano there a little bit, and he said, this looks like, we've had a lot of threats before. This looks like it could be the real thing. And he said, Sonny's here and Red's here. He said, they're going to tell you, and several of the security guards are also there that worked at the hotel. He says, they're going to tell you what they would like you to do. And so I think it was Red said that I'm going to be on one side of the stage, Sonny's going to be on the other side of the stage. We want you guys to look out in the audience. If you see anybody that looks suspicious, let one of us know. About that time, the door of the suite opens, and this guy comes running through the door of the suite, and he says, "Elvis, I'm going to get you." And he starts firing. He has a gun, and he starts shooting. The security guards, they all pull their guns out. They start firing back. You know, I dove under the table, and I started praying.
Oh my gosh.
And JD, Elvis fell to the ground. JD jumped on top of Elvis to kind of protect Elvis from being shot, and he realized that Elvis was shaking. He was laughing, and this was a whole thing that Elvis had set up to play a joke on the Stamps, and it was the most real joke that I've ever been a part of.
Right.
I was so shook up, I thought I was going to die. And I remember by the second show, I was still shook up.
Oh,
It was
wow.
hard to settle down after that. It was the most real, practical joke that's ever been played on me or anybody as far as that goes.
That's absolutely incredible. I kind of wish I was a fly on the wall for that.
But he loved to play practical jokes.
That's awesome. And I heard that he loves to give to people too. And that, I mean, we've heard stories about him just donating to different charities and giving things to people that he knew, cars, whatever. Have you been on the receiving end of any of that generosity of Elvis?
I never got a car. I never got a new car, but I did get a gold watch, which was kind of cool, and it was engraved on the back, to Richard from Elvis. It was kind of cool, and I have it at home still to this day. And of course, I got my TCB, which is.
I have my fake one here.
Well, look at that! You certainly do.
I love it. I'm like,
wow.
They sell them at Graceland. They sell actual gold ones. I mean, obviously they're not the original,
right?
But
exactly.
That's my goal. I want to buy one of the real gold ones.
I didn't realize they sold them there. How about that?
I know. I didn't know until this last time I went about a month ago or so, and I saw them there, and I pretty much wanted to just buy everything that they had in the gift shop. It's unreal how much stuff they have, and they're always doing different auctions and selling personal items of Elvis's. And for me as a collector, I want to get my hands on all of it. But then there's that part of me that's, that doesn't understand, because I wouldn't want to part with anything. So I don't know how people can part with it at the same time. But I'm so glad that you guys do. So have there been any other experiences that you've had with him, or any other fond memories that you would say are your favorite?
Well, I think one of my fondest memories of being with Elvis was probably the first time I ever met him. I was with the Stamps Quartet, as I mentioned, and we found out we were going to be working with Elvis. And the first tour that we were a part of started in Minneapolis. So we had to go to Minneapolis for a rehearsal. There was a certain appointed time for the rehearsal. Then it was in a ballroom in the hotel where we were staying. We went to the ballroom for rehearsal. The TCB band, Ronnie Tutt, Glenn Hard, and all those guys, they were there. The Sweet Inspirations were there. Kathy Westmoreland was there, the soprano singer that sang, with Elvis. And we had a chance to hang out with all these people and kind of get to know them. But there was no Elvis. And later, we all found out that Elvis enjoyed being fashionably late. But he definitely was that day. Mm-hmm. And I remember time had passed, there was still no Elvis, and everybody was saying, "But where's Elvis?" After a while, we heard this commotion coming down the hall leading to the ballroom where we were. The door opens, and in walks this entourage of people. In the middle stood Elvis.
wow.
and up to that point in my life, I was an Elvis fan and I loved his music, but I guess I would have to say I was a casual Elvis fan.
Right.
That day when he walked into the room, I went, "Wow, you've got to be kidding me. I think I now know why this guy is the biggest star in the world." He walked into the room and there was something about him. You could actually feel him in the room. He had such presence, such magnetism, such charisma. You run out of words to describe it. But when he walked into the room, you knew that he was somebody. And I went, wow. Now, like I say, I realize why he's the biggest star in the world. And he came over to all of us. He hugged us all, hugged our necks. He called us all by our first name, and welcomed us into his organization. And I had goosebumps. It was really special. So I'll never forget my first meeting, the first time I ever met Elvis.
That's incredible. Yeah. And I mean, there's so many times where you have those moments in life where you meet somebody and it either blows your mind, like is beyond what you ever expected it to be, or it's actually heartbreaking because it's not what you wanted it to be. And so
there's only one other person that even would come close to that, and I have to mention it. And we're probably not going to talk about him in this interview.
No, it's okay.
But it's Johnny Cash.
Oh, I love Johnny
man,
Cash.
Johnny
We all
Cash,
love Johnny Cash.
Same. There would not be an Oak Ridge Boys today if it wasn't for Johnny Cash and the help that he provided us in our early struggling days. But he was that kind of a guy. He would walk into the room, and you could feel it. You could feel him there. He had such presence. He really did.
Absolutely, and you can tell. And we're huge fans of Johnny Cash too. And we're actually going to be attending a concert with Ronnie McDowell in just a couple of days on the 16th. We're going to be attending it at the Johnny Cash farm. in
I know about
Bonacqua.
that, yeah.
So yeah, we love Johnny, we love Elvis, we love the $1 Million Quartet. I mean,
Oh yeah.
what a
Yeah.
chance encounter, for them too to have that
Exactly.
jam session that
Exactly.
day.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. Now, have I happen to love Elvis's taste in food myself. I'm just gonna say I love his food choices. Have you had any experiences with him in the time that you had with him? Did you get to taste any of his favorites?
Well, yeah. One of the highlights of my life was spending the night in Graceland. That was kind of cool.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, and we ate there, and pretty much it was Elvis's normal diet, which is kind of junk food.
That's why I get along so well. Like, give me those deep fried sandwiches and everything all the time. I don't care.
He loved banana splits. I know that. Yeah, he really did.
That's awesome. So, do you have any plans for celebrating on Wednesday? Are you going to be doing anything?
Yeah, I don't know. The Oak Ridge Boys are playing in a place called Escanaba, Michigan, which is a fair, which we have played on numerous occasions, and we will probably honor Elvis. Just the recent passing of our good friend Glenn
Yes.
Campbell. We
Yes.
certainly honored him at the Opry the other night, and we'll more than likely do the same thing. At the fair in Escanaba, Michigan.
Absolutely. And that's what I love about you guys too. The Oak Ridge Boys, my gosh, you guys are so talented and you guys are such great, nice, wonderful people. I mean,
Well,
the
thank you.
easiest that I've found to talk to. And I will say the most intimidating at first, my very first interview with Joe, I was scared to death. And he was such a sweetheart. And all of you guys are just such nice, nice people. And you really connect to your fans. And I think that has to do a lot with your success as well. And I want to know if what you learned with your time in Elvis has actually helped you in your career with the Oak Ridge Boys.
Well, I think the answer to your question is yes. I think the time that I spent with Elvis was kind of a learning experience. As I mentioned earlier, at the time, Elvis was the biggest star in the world. His tour was the biggest tour in the music business. And to be a part of that was so exciting. We toured all over the country, played all the arenas. We never saw an empty seat.
Yeah.
And that was pretty exciting. But I think that helped prepare me for what was to come later on in my life with the Oak Ridge Boys.
Right.
It seemed like, I made a major decision in my life, to leave Elvis and to join the Oak Ridge Boys. People question, how could you do that?
Yeah.
But I believed I was doing the right thing, and since then some great things have happened to us, all of us. But I remember going back to the very same arenas that we played with Elvis, with the Oak Ridge Boys, seeing them just as packed out,
Yeah.
And so it helped prepare me for what was to come later on in my life and in my career, with the Oak Ridge Boys, and just being around Elvis and seeing how he conducted himself as a true professional. I think I learned how to conduct myself when, my turn came with the Oak Ridge Boys.
That's awesome. And I love that you had that example. And I love that you got to have all those experiences. And your voice, I can't even tell you, when I hear your voice on those songs, and you have such a deep bass voice, and I'm like, wow, when did you discover that?
Well, believe it or not, the first singing that I ever did was as a boy soprano. And I was about 6 years old, and I was in Sunday school. Obviously, I'm not a boy soprano any longer. But I do remember that experience. I don't remember the song I sang, but it kind of stuck out in my mind, that I can still picture myself. I can see myself in front of the congregation at church. And I think I was impressed that day that this is what I was meant to do for a living. I was meant to sing in front of people.
Yeah.
And later on in my life, I was still singing high till I got into junior high school. And in 7th grade, I was still singing tenor. Over the summer, between 7th grade and 8th grade, my voice made a drastic change. Boy, did it change. And I went back in the fall of my 8th grade year, and the choir teacher ended up putting me in the in the second bass section. And obviously, I've been there ever since.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it served you well. And honestly, I think it was a great decision on Elvis's part to have, 2 bass singers in his band. I mean, I love it. I love it.
Well, J.D. Sumner hired me. He wanted to get off the road, and he wanted to hire a younger bass singer to take his place. But then we acquired, the gig of working with Elvis, and Elvis was a big fan of JD's, like I was, and he wanted JD to be, not just me, but he wanted JD to be a part of the group as well. So we had two bass singers. It was kind of interesting.
I love that. I love that fact, and I think it worked so well. And when you hear it come through on the songs, it's incredible, and it just, I get blown away because, man, you sound so amazing, and I've never heard another bass singer sound anything like you, and I love it. So I want to thank you for your contribution to the Elvis community there too,
Thank you
for continuing to be with the Oak Ridge Boys and for making that tough decision.
Yeah, well, it was a tough decision, and a lot of people questioned it. How could you leave Elvis to join the Oak Ridge Boys? But I was a big fan of the Oak Ridge Boys, and I wanted to be a part of the group. And it was a difficult decision in some ways. Yeah. But I believed in my heart I was doing the right thing, and I think history has proven that I made a pretty good decision.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, right.
I definitely think so.
Because some great things have happened to not just myself, but all of the Oak Ridge Boys. We've been very blessed. We've had a great career. It culminated probably a little less than 2 years ago when we were inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame. I mean, even though it happened almost 2 years ago, it's very difficult for me to find just the right words to describe how special it is to be a part of the Country Music Hall of Fame. What a tremendous honor. It certainly is.
Absolutely.
And, years ago as a young man in my 20s singing with Elvis, I had no idea that someday I would be in the same Hall of Fame with him. Right. But not only the Country Music Hall of Fame, but as the Gospel Music Hall of Fame as well. So the Oak Ridge Boys are in the Country Music Hall of Fame with Elvis, and also the Gospel Music Hall of Fame. And very few people can say that.
Absolutely. What's your favorite gospel song?
That's difficult to say. There's so many great songs, and we've recorded so many of them, over the years. I would have to say, and since we're talking about Elvis, one of my favorite moments ever on stage singing a gospel song had to be when Elvis was singing "How Great Thou Art."
That's mine.
Even though Elvis was the king of rock and roll, I really believe that his favorite music, deep down in his heart, was gospel music. Yeah. He loved singing gospel music, and you could tell that, And when he sang "How Great Thou Art," it was so you could feel it.
Yes.
It was so special. So I would say that out of singing, that's probably my favorite moment of actually singing a gospel song on stage, singing "How Great Thou Art" together with Elvis.
Absolutely. Well, and he earned a Grammy for his performance.
He certainly
of that.
did. Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, is there anything else that you would like to tell fans before we go? Because I feel like I kind of took over. I think I kind of ran my mouth a little bit too. I love that. I love that we get to have real conversations.
Yeah.
But is there anything that you want to say that maybe you didn't?
We spend most. This is Elvis Week, and it's a special day. Very few people would get this much recognition 40 years after they pass away, and so that shows you how special Elvis really was. When you listen to Elvis's records. I was in a recording session with him in Los Angeles. Elvis recorded like he performed on stage. Those particular recording sessions was the first time he ever recorded with his band, the TCB band, and Glenn Harding was there, and Ronnie Tutt, and Jerry Schiff, all the members of the band, and he was so excited about that, and he recorded those sessions like he was singing on stage. Incredible. And back then, they did not, or we did not have the technology back then that we have today. You couldn't tune your voice, you couldn't fix parts, or anything like that. And so with Elvis, you got what you got.
Yeah.
And Elvis did not sing a song over 10 times he sang a song through once, maybe twice, and that was it. You had to get it. And I think when you listen to his records and you realize how great he really was. He was a singer. There's no question about it. Yeah.
I think that's incredible. Everybody at home, thank you so much for tuning in. Keep celebrating Elvis, and make sure you check out the Oak Ridge Boys because they are so great, and we love them. And thank you again, Richard Sterban.
Oh, thank you,
for taking the time. And all right, guys. Well, we'll see you soon. Until next time.